Welcome back to the show, all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship. You're listening to Get Down to Business, and you get on my website, shalomklein.com, to get a sneak peek of who's going to be on next week, each week, in the show all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship. I am thrilled to be joined by Bill Price. Bill was Amazon's first global vice president of customer service and is the founder and president of Droivis Solutions, a consultancy dedicated to creating highly effective customer contact strategies and operations, which is what we're going to talk about. But he has more than 35 years of experience advising and directing major operations in more than 160 leading companies. The co-author of the bestseller, The Best Service is No Service, Your Customer Rules, and the Frictionless Organization to Deliver Great Customer Experiences with Less Effort, which just came out. Bill Price, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for letting me join you today. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So if there's one truth in business, it's that customers don't want to contact you. Yet most companies keep getting it all wrong in terms of, when people have to contact their companies. Mm-hmm. If it's the faulty products, the late deliveries, all essentially service that people don't want to talk about. So Bill, I know that's the premise of your book. Tell us how you got interested in this topic.
Well, even before I went to Amazon, which was 23 years ago, I was with the telco MCI, and MCI had the same sort of strategy, same sort of philosophy, which is let's make it really easy for our customers. We were competing against AT&T, which was a big challenge. And for MCI to win business, both consumers and business customers, we had to really do a good job and make the product simple and pricing simple. So I brought that concept into Amazon. Fortunately, Amazon was already thinking that way when I got there. That was Jeff Bezos's ethos of making things dead simple for the customer and making it work right. And since then, I've just been adding to it.
You certainly have. That's super duper cool. That's great. So you have this term that you use a lot, frictionless. Mm-hmm. Again, the title of the book, The Frictionless Organization, Deliver Great Customer Experiences with Less Effort. So is frictionless, we're talking with a lot of small business owners on this program, entrepreneurs. What does frictionless mean to them, and how does a business determine if this is the right sort of move and direction to go?
Well, frictionless means that you don't cause problems for your customers so that they have to contact you. You sort of mentioned it earlier, which is frictionless means things are clear, they're not confusing, things are on time, and so customers don't need to contact you for those issues. They may still want to contact you for other issues, like, hey, I want to get this new product of yours, or I'd like to find out whether this really works for me, where a personal or one-to-one conversation makes sense. But they don't want to contact you for the issues that represent failures or mistakes. So friction is what you see, friction is what you measure. The frictionless concept is really the absence of that. So you see fewer contacts per customer, fewer contacts per unit shipped. You see fewer issues that come up from the customers.
Interesting. And it sounds like from everything that you're talking about in terms of that satisfaction, that frictionless organization, mm-hmm. It sounds like you have discovered through your countless conversations, as we said, you've been doing this for a couple of years now, mm-hmm. that people care more about an experience than about price. How did you discover that? And can you give us some examples of sort of lessons learned on that topic?
Well, there's certainly some companies out there, some luxury type companies that where their consumers, their customers don't care about price. They just want that experience, and they want the privilege or the honor or the fun of having that particular product with them. But for general businesses, especially small businesses and entrepreneurs, the concept is that I want, as a consumer, I'm just speaking now very generally, as a consumer, I want stuff to work for me, that's personalized for me. The company knows who I am and can actually go the extra mile for me. Meaning if I have to have something delayed, you'll delay it for me. If I need to have something accelerated, you'll make it faster for me. If I need to have something that's blue, you'll make it blue for me. And so with all those types of requests, companies wind up saying, well, then we can do that for you. And then consumers go, great, that'd be great. And I'll stay with you and I'll buy from you and I'll even tell my friends about you. So the preference is for customers to be able to say what they want, companies to be able to figure out, yeah, we can do that for you.
Interesting. Again, I'm chatting with Bill Price, who is Amazon's first global vice president of customer service, and he is the co-author of The Frictionless Organization, Deliver Great Customer Experience with Less Effort, and as well as of the bestseller, The Best Service is No Service, Your Customer Rules. So Bill, really, really interesting, and certainly I'm fascinated by this topic of being frictionless. But the book is not just sort of looking at the past, but it really is a guide for all businesses, regardless of size, of basically how they can make decisions based on interactions with customers. I know you had a lot of conversations. Can you tell us a story over here? Tell us a little story of how what sort of inspired you to go in this direction, and maybe some lessons learned over here.
Well, a couple of quick stories, and one of them is when I speak to companies or conferences, I usually open up by saying, let's just pause a bit and talk among yourselves and share what have been your personal best experiences and worst experiences. And after a short pause, the group just keeps talking. It's really hard to get them to stop. And when I ask them to share with everyone else what those experiences are, typically they start with the bad experiences, the friction. Oh my gosh, it comes up like a ratio of 4 to 1. And sometimes it's good experiences, and that's also important to share. So during the pandemic, I was taking a walk with a good friend of mine who said, Bill, your first books came out a while ago, actually 7 and 14 years respectively. There's still a lot of problems out there. And I run across them, you run across them, everyone runs across them. How about if you just go out there and try to update everybody, because there's almost a new generation of business leaders. So I got a hold of my co-author who's in Melbourne, Australia. David agreed that we really ought to update with new technologies, with new customer experiences and expectations. And so that's where we went out and interviewed these companies that are in the book. Companies like Uber. We used Amazon examples, Apple, companies in Europe like N26, some startups in South America, just a whole bunch of companies that were willing to share with us what they were doing. And we formed the pattern based on that.
Bill, all of this seems to make a lot of sense. Why aren't more organizations becoming frictionless?
Well, that's really the nub of it, isn't it? I think companies wind up getting into this state of inertia. We've always done it this way. Or they don't question why things happen. They assume that customers will contact them, and they build organizations to support them. Well, that's okay on the surface, but then they don't ask, well, but wait a minute now, why did customers say to us that our bill was wrong? Why do they say to us things like, well, my internet keeps dropping, or I don't understand what this product means, or this promotion makes no sense to me? Well, why is that the case? And so organizations that don't ask those questions are the ones that wind up creating more friction. And the other issue, quite simply, is that a lot of systems out there, technology, systems, and even processes don't fit together. They don't join up. And so customers may start in one particular channel, like a chatbot, and then they talk to someone in the call center or contact center, or they talk to someone on the sales floor. And even the organization doesn't know what the customer has already been doing with them. And so it's frustrating. And in that case, you create more friction.
Absolutely. So friction is definitely friction's definitely bad, frictionless good. And Bill, you've given some really good advice over here for small business owners. You've talked a lot about, like you said, some of the stories, but you mentioned your time at Amazon. I believe you said 23 years ago when you initially came in. So how did that Amazon experience help to frame this thesis, and sort of what's your what's your perspective on where they've gone in this direction since that time?
Yeah, two quick points. One is Jeff Bezos had an expression back then, which is it's still day one, meaning you have to be on your toes. You've got to make sure that there won't be another company out there that's going to eat our lunch, some other online company or company moving into the online space. So we wanted to make sure that we kept reinventing and kept thinking through new and better ways to deal with the customer, to set up the website, to have deliveries go faster. It was always a challenge for all of us. And I think that is a key part of the book. About the frictionless organization. The last chapter we even call redesign, meaning you've got to figure out how you're going to come up with your own next best product. But the second thing is this penchant, this quest that he had and the whole organization had to make things really simple for the customer and to reduce the need for contacts. We had an expression called contacts per ordered ship. It was a really good metric. It's one that we espouse in the book with other examples from other companies, but you want to have fewer contacts, meaning assisted contacts, for every order that you ship, for every bill that you have, for every unit you've got out there. And so that really built a lot of the ideas that we've worked with today. Well,
Bill, I've certainly learned a lot. Again, a lot of lessons learned over here, and definitely I encourage all of our listeners to pick up a copy of The Frictionless Organization, deliver a great customer experience with less effort, something all of our listeners want to do regardless of the size of their business. But one of the things that they definitely will want to do is again, get in touch with you and learn more about the amazing work you're doing. How can we do that? How can we find the book?
Yeah, we've got a book website called frictionlessorg.com. I can be reached on LinkedIn as Bill Price, and my email address is bill@drivasolutions.com, DRIVA solutions.com, and the book's available all over the place, Amazon in particular. Thanks.
Fantastic. Frictionlessorg.com. That's definitely a goal, aspiration for all of us in the upcoming year. We've got to squeeze in a quick break, some headlines, commercials. When we come back, we've got lots more small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. You don't want to touch that dial. We'll be right back and get down to business.